From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, January the 22nd, 2019. An IDF officer was lightly injured when he was hit by live fire from a Palestinian sniper during violent riots at the Gaza security fence today. The IDF said an initial investigation in the field found that during a riot which included rock throwing, a terrorist opened fire at IDF troops. A bullet struck the helmet of an IDF officer who was stationed at the scene, the helmet saving the officer's life. He was taken to the hospital for treatment for light injuries. In response to the attack, the IDF targeted an observation post belonging to terror group Hamas in Gaza. One Hamas operative was reportedly killed. In the West Bank last night, a Palestinian terrorist tried to attack IDF soldiers stationed at a military base near the city of Nablus. The IDF said, according to an initial investigation, the suspect's car was stopped for a brief security check in the area, and he was told by IDF soldiers that he should turn his car around. But instead, he got out of the vehicle with a large knife and ran at a soldier trying to stab him. Another soldier at the scene shot and killed the terrorist. And on Sunday, a rocket was fired by Iranian forces operating in Syria at the Golan Heights in northern Israel. It was fortunately intercepted by the Iron Dome missile defense system, and no damage or injury was caused. The IDF released video of Israelis skiing on Mount Hermon during the incident, who could see the rocket above them. The IDF said that by firing towards Israeli civilians, Iran once again proved that it is attempting to entrench itself in Syria, endangering the state of Israel and regional stability. In response to the rocket launch, Israel hit a number of Iranian targets in Syria, including munitions storage sites, an Iranian intelligence site, and an Iranian military training camp. The IDF warned Syria ahead of the airstrikes, telling its army not to fire at the Israeli planes. But those warnings were not heeded, and dozens of Syrian surface-to-air missiles were launched at Israeli jets, causing them to also target several Syrian armed forces' aerial defense batteries. Well, the remains of 6 Holocaust victims were given a Jewish burial this weekend, decades after their deaths. As we reported to you, the UK's Imperial War Museum handed over the unidentified remains of 5 adults and 1 child believed to have been murdered at Auschwitz to Britain's Chief Rabbi Ephraim Mervis earlier this month. And this weekend, some 1,000 people, among them Holocaust survivors, ambassadors, religious leaders, and other officials, accompanied the remains to their final resting place at the Bushy New Cemetery in Hertfordshire, where the remains were buried with earth from Israel. Mervis said at the funeral, "We don't know who you are. We don't know if you're male or female. We don't know which country you're from. But one thing we do know, you were Jewish and brutally murdered." Mervis said this very rare and special service was a reminder that hate speech can easily be translated into hate crime, and that all forms of racism must be confronted. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomed Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko to Jerusalem yesterday. Netanyahu thanked Poroshenko for standing up to hate speech and anti-Semitism in his country. The leaders later officiated over the signing of a bilateral free trade agreement. And staying with Netanyahu, the Prime Minister extended congratulations over a successful test of the Arrow 3 missile defense system this morning. The test took place at the Palmachim Air Base in central Israel, led by Israel Aerospace Industries, in collaboration with the Israeli Air Force and in cooperation with the American Missile Defense Agency. Netanyahu said later that Israel and the U.S. have the deepest cooperation between their defense industries. He said, "I would like to express special appreciation for our ally, the United States, for the security cooperation in testing and developing our defensive systems, including the Arrow missile." The Arrow is jointly funded, developed, and produced by Israel and the United States. Well, switching gears now to some entertainment news. The Academy Award nominations were announced early this morning. Among the Jewish nominees, a Best Supporting Actress nod for Rachel Weisz in The Favorite. Composer Mark Shaman was nominated for Best Original Score for Mary Poppins Returns and for Best Original Song from the movie The Place Where Lost Things Go. Also for Best Original Song, Mark Ronson was nominated as part of the team who wrote and produced Shallow from A Star is Born. Filmmakers brothers Joel and Ethan Coen received the nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay for The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. And the documentary about the life of Jewish Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was nominated for Best Documentary Feature. The 91st Annual Academy Awards will take place on Sunday night, February the 24th. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, January the 22nd at 7 o'clock, we hear from the son of a Hamas leader who turned Israeli agent, Mossab Hassan Youssef. At 8, a discussion of the future for Israel and Jewish students on college campuses with Jonathan Haidt, Peter Berkowitz, and Elliot Kaufman. That's from the 2018 Jewish Leadership Conference on Jews and Conservatism. At 9 tonight, Mark Golub sits down with Avi Goldwasser to talk about his film Hate Spaces, the politics of intolerance on campus. At 10, Israeli Consul General in New York, Dani Dayan, discusses Israel's democratic progressivism from students supporting Israel at Columbia. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, it's the ILTV debate program, Frenemies. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, January the 22nd, 2019. I'm Teisha Bader.